welcome to Monson Made This. My name is Michael. Today I have a really delicious, quick and easy plant-based recipe. I teased this a little bit saying that I wanted to do a week of recipes that were in my a grain, a bean, a veggie, a green, and a seed paradigm. So today is the first video in that, and it is a delicious Indian spiced split pea curry with black rice and sauteed mushrooms. This is so good. You could serve it as a soup. You can eat it sort of like I am, where the split pea mixture sort of becomes like a curry sauce. It is so good. And I have my Instant Pot here. Everything is gonna happen here. It's gonna take just about 20 minutes for those to cook. And while that's cooking, I'm gonna cook some mushrooms, and probably in a total of about 25 minutes, we'll have a delicious hearty meal. So let's get going. I already have this on saute, and I have just about a teaspoon of coconut oil. If you want to go completely oil-free, don't add any oil. I find that a lot of Indian spices or really rich spices do bloom a little bit better with some fat, so that's why I have just about a teaspoon of coconut oil. To that, I'm adding some onion that I've already chopped. This is really good with shallot as well. That's probably about like a half cup of onion. And to make my life easier, I'm also going to be adding some garlic, some celery, and carrot. Carrot's nice for sweetness. And I'm going to use this box grater to cut these up pretty easily. So, well, cut's not the right word, I guess. Grate them up. I like celery and I like carrot for their flavor. But as a kid, I've never liked chunks of cooked carrot or chunks of celery in soups and things like that. So that's why I like to grate it, so you get the flavor, but you don't get the chunks, the texture. So I'm just grating this. I'm gonna grate the celery, and then last thing I will grate the garlic, and then they will go into the Instant Pot, because by that time the onion will be ready to be stirred around. I'm also using the small grater side, again, so it's even smaller. Don't be a hero, leave a little chunk. Pups love those, so I like to leave a little bit for them. Now I'm grating the celery. You're gonna see that it's not gonna grate perfectly, but that's fine. We're gonna get most of the juice and flavor out of it, but we're going to avoid a lot of the stringy bits. The onions already smell really good with the coconut oil. So you can see here that I have this sort of string of celery, and that's all the fibrous part that I don't necessarily want to chew. Almost done here, and then this is going to go directly into the pot, and I'll give it a stir. I'm also going to show you the spice mix I'm going to use today. So I said this is like an Indian spice flavor. I found this interesting spice mixture at a friend's house, actually. Ben and I, for a little bit of extra money, do some like not Bed Bath & Beyond, what is it, Airbnb cleaning on the side. So we were there, and if there's things that are unopened that are still usable, we'll take them home and put them to good use. So we found this spice mixture. It's called, oh, what is it? It's called Colombo Chili Masala. I'd never heard of this before. I've kept it in my freezer. And then the other day I was actually wanting to make a split pea soup. And so I was trying to figure out what the right ratio would be for water to split peas. And so I grabbed this Martha Stewart cookbook that's right under me, and I looked in the index for split peas. And her recipe was for actually like an Indian spiced split pea. I was like, hey, that's the direction I should take this. Figured out the ratio, added this in there, and it was so good. I had some black rice on hand, which my black rice is actually already finished cooking in the rice cooker waiting for me. And it was so good. It's just like super hearty. Be careful grating the garlic. I might have some bigger bits, but I just want to add this when I add the spice mixture. Other things that are going to go in here, I have some tomato paste. I'm going to add just a little bit of that. I have some veggie broth, about 4 cups of broth to 1 cup of split peas, which was the ratio that I was looking for. And then kind of an interesting ingredient, I'm going to be adding some raisins. And the raisins are just going to add a bit of sweetness. They'll cook in the Instant Pot with everything else, so they'll absorb a lot of flavor. Super good. So I'm just going to give these another couple minutes to cook down, and then we'll add the spices and the grated garlic. So it's time to add the seasoning, and you could use whatever your favorite kind of curry powder is. This has chili powder, coriander, turmeric, mustard, fenugreek, cumin, curry leaves. So it's quite varied, but the cool thing about this one, I don't know if cool is the right word, it's actually really spicy. I love spicy food, so this adds quite a bit of spice, and I don't have to heat it up with other spices. I'm adding just about 2 tablespoons, being quite generous actually, because I want this really, really flavorful, because I'm going to be serving it with rice, like I said. So I want to make sure that this carries a lot of flavor so that it can compensate for the rice, which doesn't really have much flavor. So put that aside. Let's add the garlic. And then the last thing I'm going to add here in just a second, lots of spices, is going to be the tomato paste, and I'm going to let that cook for just a moment before I add the split peas, the broth, and the raisins. I'm going to add just maybe a couple teaspoons worth of tomato paste, and I want to cook this with the spices and the garlic just so it wakes up the flavors. It looks kind of messy in there right now. Definitely a lot of fragrance from the spices toasting, but it's going to be so good. Let it go for maybe just about 30 seconds, maybe up to a minute. I don't want anything to burn, especially the garlic or the spices. And you know what? It actually looks like it's time to add the broth. So 4 cups of, this is a vegan chicken broth that I made. Ooh, watch out for the steam. Vegan chicken broth that I made with some bouillon powder. All right, and there's 4 cups. Stir to get everything combined. I have 1 cup of split green peas, and those have been rinsed. So I'm just gonna stir all this together, make sure I get everything off the bottom of the pan or the Instant Pot. And then I'm gonna give this a taste. I want it to be really well seasoned, like I said. And if it passes my taste test, we put the lid on, switch it over to pressure cook for 20 minutes, and then we move on to the mushrooms. It's honestly perfect. I forgot I was gonna add these raisins. If you have currants, those would work as well. It's probably about 1/4 cup. Again, it's just gonna add a nice little pop of sweetness to it. So lid is going on. Make sure this is set to pressure. Cancel. I usually press the poultry button because it starts at 15 minutes. Adjust it up to 20. As long as everything's ready to go, this is fine. So it's gonna take just a couple minutes to come up to pressure. It'll cook for 20, and then we will be able to quick release it. So let me move this aside, and I'll meet you back at the stove so we can start on the mushrooms. So again, my way of eating as I'm trying to lose weight on this plant-based diet is to construct meals that contain a grain, a bean, a veggie, a green, and some type of seed, which is my way of just getting whole plant fats. So we've got the split peas, which is my bean. We've got black rice in the rice cooker, which is my grain. I'll be adding some arugula a little bit later, which is gonna be my green. But my veggie today is going to be mushrooms, which the veggie part of it is pretty much the bulk. It's where you get a lot of flavor, but it's just where you're kind of bulking the meal up as well. Obviously adding some nutritional value. This is also really great if you like air fry some broccoli, but today I'm using oyster mushrooms. I have my stainless steel pan up onto medium-high heat, and I'm just kind of shredding these. And I did add just a tiny bit of coconut oil to keep things moving. Again, if you are trying to keep oil-free, then use a non-stick pan, and that'll work as well. I just really like the color that stainless steel gives to these mushrooms. And I'm just gonna shred these up. I'm gonna not really move them too much, try to allow them to caramelize so they get a lot of nice color. And then when I serve this, these will just kind of go on top, so it'll be a nice contrast of flavor and texture with the Indian spice split peas. I let these go for just a couple minutes untouched. Now I'm just kind of tossing them around. They have beautiful color already. It smells incredible. And if you noticed, I haven't seasoned them at all. I want them to get nice and caramelized and browned up, and then I will season them with a little salt and pepper at the end. With mushrooms, because there's so much moisture in them, if you season them too early, it'll cause them to spit out a bunch of water, and they'll have a tendency to steam instead of caramelize, and I want the delicious, rich color. Look at that color. Beautiful. These mushrooms smell and look incredible. I'm just going to hit them with a little bit of salt and pepper. And then I'm going to take them out of the pan, move them to a plate so they don't cook any further. And we just need to wait for the Instant Pot to finish. If you're wondering what this tool is, these tweezers that I got, I mentioned them in my previous video, which was my kitchen gadgets video. Look at those. All right, so those are just gonna hang out. We also need to think about arugula, which I'm actually just gonna rip up a little bit before I add them to the Instant Pot. That's after everything's done. And then there's also a little bit of coconut milk that'll be added as well, just maybe about a 1/4 cup, and that's just gonna make things a little bit richer and creamier. As I said, the rice is already done, so we're in great shape. Just waiting for the Instant Pot. 20 minutes is up. I'm going to quick release this and avoid any steam burn. If you wanted to let it natural release, you could, but I'm hungry now, so I'm going to, well, it's releasing. I also have my black rice here. This is, I've been wondering for a long time what the rice was that I was buying, and I found out this is what it is. It is a black pearl rice. So this just cooked in the rice cooker. It takes about 60 minutes. I just used the white rice settings, and I filled up this cup so I can make for a pretty presentation, hopefully. There we go. Let's carefully open this up, again, avoiding any steam burns. Some people don't turn their phone on to vibrate while they're filming. All right, so before I stir that up, I'm going to add some arugula. Why am I adding arugula, you're asking? Well, this is the green I'm adding to my dish, but also because my CSA this week had arugula, so that's what I'm using. This is really great with kale. It's great with spinach, but we're using arugula today. And then I'm also gonna add a bit of coconut milk. If you are one of those low-fat people, then you can avoid this, or avoid's not the right word, you can not use it, but I wanna add a little bit of whole plant fat, so that's why I'm adding coconut milk. And then I'm just going to stir this together. It smells incredible, looks incredible. The raisins have plumped up. This will also continue to thicken a little bit, so it's really at a soupy texture right now, which is cool because it's technically split pea soup. But again, it will thicken a little bit. If you wanted to make it really hearty, you could maybe just use about 3.5 cups of water instead of 4. All right. That's it. I'm not even gonna give it a taste. I'll just plate it up and make it look pretty. I also chopped up the stems of my arugula, so that's gonna be a little bit of garnish. I'm just gonna use this small ladle to plate this up. Probably should have had a slightly bigger ladle. Again, if you wanna go the soup route, just put it in a big old bowl and go to town. You know, maybe put a little bit of the rice in there. I've also had it with brown rice. It's really good. I'm just really, really into this Lundberg black pearl rice right now. That's the only rice I want to eat. All right, a little bit more. I'm obviously gonna need to clean up the side before I take my glamour shots, but I'll finish making the plate pretty, and I just lost my ladle inside. Cool. I'm gonna add a bit of these mushrooms just on top. Fancy. I have the arugula stems. It's just gonna be a bit of green garnish. And then lastly, I'm gonna just add a drizzle of coconut milk for pretty. This really isn't gonna drizzle well. It was a good idea in theory, right? Still gonna taste good. All right, well, there it is, a dirty plate. I can't lift it, I'm afraid it'll make a mess. But here it is my Indian spiced split peas with black rice and deliciously caramelized oyster mushrooms. ahead and give it a taste. Get a little bit of that coconut milk off the spoon. There we go. Make sure to get one of the mushrooms. Wow. Such great flavor, really nice textures. You have like the creaminess of the split peas, you have the chewiness of the mushrooms and the rice, the really warm spices as well. It's got good heat. I love this. It's pretty much whole food, plant-based. This is the kind of food that I've been eating as I've been on my weight loss journey, and I've wanted to make just a bunch of recipes that still follow my paradigm: a grain, a bean, a veggie, a green, and a seed, and this one totally fits that paradigm. It is delicious. And I can't wait to finish eating this in my Monson Ate This video, which I will be filming directly after. So you can join the channel, become a membership, or become a member, or you can go to Patreon. All the links are below for that. The full recipe for this is also going to be on monsonmadethis.com, which will be linked below. So thank you for watching, and I will be back hopefully tomorrow with the next recipe video in this series of my delicious whole food plant-based recipes, all containing what? A grain, a bean, a veggie, a green, and a seed. So thanks for watching.